Hey folks, today I'll be giving you some options of how to take your game off rails. So while I don't feel there is anything inherently wrong with railroading if it's done right, there are often times that you as a game master may want to take your game off of rails, or at least give the illusion that the game is not on rails. So by on rails, we mean railroading, which is kind of comes from the video game world, where it's very like, there is one direction, you are on rails, there is one direction that the game and the story is going to go. If you're new to the channel, we make videos here every week all about tabletop role-playing and our other geeky interests. Okay, so let's talk about taking your game off the rails. So my first piece of advice is offer options. Give your players kind of a couple of different adventures, hooks that they could potentially go on. And with this, you can also have multiple kind of tracks that end up leading to the same place. So if you have an overarching narrative, you can still kind of plan that out and just know, okay, kind of no matter which option my players are going to take, they will eventually get back to this story point, whether it's all of those different tracks kind of converging, or if it's something that, okay, well, we'll go off and they can go off on this tangent and then circle back and kind of come back to the main storyline. This works really well to tie in parts of the characters' backstories. Maybe they can go pursue this backstory lead if they're interested, or they can continue on towards the kind of main narrative that the whole group is working towards. Also, this is a great thing to introduce early on. You can kind of let the players choose what adventure hooks, whether it's off of a notice board or however it is you want to kind of introduce the adventure hooks to them. You can give them all these different options and have ideas of how am I going to kind of sprinkle in hints towards what the main narrative story is going to end up being. Second way you can kind of take things off rails is throw in some random encounters. Throw in whether they are social encounters, combat encounters, exploration, puzzles, throwing in these things that aren't necessarily moving towards the narrative storyline, but provide those chances for character advancement, for character growth, for combat, death, danger, all of that can make it really feel like, okay, well, not everything matters towards the story. And with that, we bring us into today's sponsor, the Deck of Possibilities. Hey, Dungeon Master, what's got you down?
Who are you and how did you get into my house?
Oh, never mind. Just tell me, what's wrong?
Well, I have to get my party from one place to the other, and I don't want to railroad them or use the same boring random table that I always use.
Sounds like you need the Deck of Possibilities.
Where did that even come from?
The Deck of Possibilities is a card system for GMs looking to create sessions or campaigns that are truly focused on exploration and surprise. Use the deck right at the table to create all the encounters your players might face. Pick the traps, monsters, traveling merchants, terrain, and weather you need. Shuffle them into an adventure deck and draw cards as needed. Perfect for all your needs. Use it as an idea deck while planning, or use it during sessions. You can even create the dungeon map as you go. Get your players involved by giving them cards they can choose when to play. So head over to their Kickstarter. For the first 48 hours, a standard deck is only $25. With so many possibilities, how will you use it? Here you go.
Wow, this is great. I'm going to use this right away. Now get out of my house or I'm going to call the cops.
Similar to random encounters, you can also incorporate side quests. So this idea of not everything needs to be moving towards the main narrative plot. You can kind of, oh yeah, we can go off on this tangent and we'll eventually get back to what's going on. Side quests are especially great to incorporate elements of character backstory, to, maybe introduce perhaps some side quests that might help with the main narrative line, maybe getting items or aid for wherever the narrative story is going, but things that are kind of optional, and that gives a lot of that kind of player agency and player choice that makes it feel like the game isn't on rails. One thing I do to make my games feel like they aren't railroaded is to have vague plans. I tend to use a lot of like if-then plannings, and I've made a whole video about that. You can go check it out. Put a link up here. You can check that out once you're done with this video. But by keeping some of these kind of vague plans of, okay, if the party goes after this, then this will happen. Is going to make it a lot easier to improvise and pivot when your players decide to do different things than maybe you were necessarily expecting. And so I will oftentimes kind of plan out a rough overall story arc and be able to be flexible on how long exactly it's going to take to get there and how exactly we get there. And then I will plan in a lot more detail for kind of the next session or two so that I'm not putting in a whole lot of work and I'm not feeling like, well, I've put in all of this work and if they don't follow this narrative element and they don't follow these tracks, then all of that work is, just getting thrown out. So that's going to make me as a game master a lot less inclined to railroad my players to having to stick to what I had planned for them. I'm a lot more flexible and I'm not wasting time, and it's a lot more fun for me to come up with, okay, cool, they went after this. How do I make that tie into the rest of the story? And finally, you can just have a sandbox game. This can be very difficult to do. It is not something that I am particularly skilled at, but I do know there are people that run sandbox games that do not have a clear narrative arc, that does not have that kind of storyline that we are following, where it's just the I have created a world, you have created characters in the world, and you get to go and do things in the world. If that's if that's something that you are really interested in, that is a great way. You are not railroading the game whatsoever. It is quite a lot of work. So if that's something that's not really going to be in your wheelhouse, hopefully some of the other options I've mentioned will be useful for you. A big thanks to all of our patrons, especially Joan. If you want to support our channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/rollforinitiative and check out the perks of being a patron. So how about you? Do you have ways that takes your games off the rails, or at least gives the illusion that it is not on rails? I'd love to know about those down in comments below, as well as what do you think about railroading? Thank you so much to today's sponsor, The Deck of Possibilities. Make sure you head on over and check out their Kickstarter. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye!